short to feature?
Yeah, this was 10 years in the making, and when I graduated film school from AFI around 2016, I wrote the script, and it was it was all about perseverance, belief and belief in the story and this team, and the thing that we kept coming back to, that I kept coming back to, was the obstacle is the way, and the priest has that line in the film, and anytime there was something that stood in the way, anytime there was an obstacle or a rejection or a no, or then you say okay, you accept it, and you use that as an opportunity to pivot, to think differently, to approach it in a different way, and I'm grateful for all of these guys here and everybody from the team and the cast and crew to stick it out with me, because you say, hey, we want to make this film, and then a year goes by, and then you shoot a little bit, and another year, and so it's really only because of them that they stuck to it that we made this happen.
So Ophelia, so the character Inez, she has a bunch of emotional weight. There's a lot of responsibility, there's resilience, there's a bunch of love. There's so much that we see her go through on the screen. And she's a mother, she's a seamstress, she's a neighbor. She has so much support for everyone in this film. So I'm wondering, how did you approach playing this character?
Oh, what?
How did you approach playing this character?
Yes.
Yes. There were times where I just didn't believe what Dustin was saying. Because it took us so many years. And I have to say that because his perseverance, and years went by, and he was like, we're gonna make this movie, and I was like, can we just make it? Can we just do it? Like, we don't have enough, the budget and this and that. Like, can we just do it? Like, whatever we have, no, we can't do that because we need to pay everybody and blah blah blah. And then she just kept on going, and like I kept, like I was excited and like on for it and everything. But I have to admit, and I think there's nothing wrong with it, that I could say that a couple of years I gave up on him.
Oh, now you tell me.
And he lifted me up. He got me again, and I believed in him again, and I believed in the project again, and that's one of the things that I think that I admire of this young talented director, that he kept us all going. And I'm sure that Mark and Mandas know about that. And then Monse, which I think Monse should be right here next to us. Monse who then came out later, and Carlos, and Michael, and all of you guys that did this amazing work. Made this story happen. And unfortunately, I have to say that I have all these mixed feelings because, okay, so the question was, how did I come up with it? I think that immigration, people migrate, regardless of their color or their culture or their background, and that is just something natural in all of us. And I think that that's basically, it was the most important thing for me to come up with, approach and portray this character, Inez. And that was the basis of all of this thing. And so it wasn't very complicated because yo soy una migrante. Yo soy una migrante mexicana. Yo soy una migrante del continente americano. Porque para mí no hay fronteras. That's what it is. And we didn't think that when we started this project, right, 8 years ago, something like that. It's just 8 years. And we did not think that that we were going to finish this movie in times like this. We were not thinking that things were going to escalate at this level. Unfortunately, it did, way beyond, farther than we thought when we were making this movie. At some point, I was telling Dustin, when they come for you, they're going to be violent. And Dustin was saying like, there's law, the Constitution, and this and that. They could not do this thing for you, against you. They have to be like, give you the rights and all that, and be kind of, gentle. But we know that's not what's happening.
Well said.
And that's something that we have been learning, and Dustin has been learning, and I have been learning, I'm sure, about all this, the level that is escalating. And my answer to your question will be, instead of how did I deal with this character, how did I do this character, my answer is like, I have no idea how in the world we came up with so much violence. And there is absolutely no necessary to have all these guns and all this violence against a human being just because he's migrating or she's migrating from another part of the continent.
That was beautiful, sorry. That's a little.
Yeah, it is something that is actually, I think we all, regardless of what you felt, what you saw, what you, got from this project, very humble in terms of budget, and that's it, basically the budget, because everything else was wonderful.
And I think that those are
The
great
story,
points.
I mean, it's just, it's a very simple story. I think two stories, that I think that it's just the most beautiful thing is that we talk about different continents. And migration is long. I know that for most of the American government, everybody's Mexican. But no, there's a lot of countries in this continent, and they're not only Mexican. And so, regardless of whether you're Mexican, Guatemalan, Honduras, Salvadorian, Argentinian, all of that, we migrate, and we like that. And that's part of being a human or animal.
Thank you. And that transitions perfectly because this film does a great job at showing different immigrant stories, and we have different perspectives, which I think brings us over to our other half of the film here. We have Montesvalles Payas, who played Tomas. And Montes, your character in the butcher shop, he has a lot of physical scenes, and like we show him going through all of the physical work of the labor-intensive side of it. And so, wondering about the balance and what your approach was with so much internal work as well. How do you go back and forth between the physical and the emotional role of Tomas?
Hello, everyone. Well, it's just life. It was much easier on a feature film in terms of the character because we already worked on a short film, and it was based on a short film. So, Dustin wrote the script in 2016, so I had 10 years to think about it. 10 years of pain and training myself and running on the beach. believe me.
So much running.
So many push-ups, so many running, and so many emotions. So, by the way, the executive producer is Darren Aronofsky, so one of his quotes is like, to make a movie is, he said 3 words: passion, pain, and pain.
I think that when we do projects, artists, right, directors, writers, actors, we try to do as much as we can closer to the reality and to the characters and the world that we live in. And we hope that what we say in the writing and the acting and in the directing, that people will take the best out of it. And so it doesn't necessarily always happen, something like that. And it just happened a couple of days ago that I got this invitation to do this interview because somebody who is the top of the El Jefe, the immigration, and you know his name, right? Because it's all over the news. And so he said that he got inspired to be who he is and what he's doing because of the border. And that's a really tough situation, right? For me as an actress, because I have no idea what he saw in that movie that it would inspire him to do the horrible things that they're doing. It was not our intention. Definitely not my character. Definitely not Jack Nicholson's character. None of the characters. And so, in this case, in this movie, I have to say, and I have to say it, and Dustin, I have respect, and he has respect for me, and I can say this. In the beginning, I was, what is this artist that has more privilege than I do, that I will ever have, because he's white, and because I'm brown, right? What does he know about the way that Inez's life, or Emilia's life, Monte's character? What do they know about it? Am I going to just follow what he says, the way he sees me on the cinematographer, the way they see my character? Or are they going to allow me to do something and put some dignity into that? And that's basically like what the questions that we ask as artists, you know? And so, to answer your question, did I go into a big circle? It seems like our lives as people of color, we're just going into circles.
Do it. You know, you brought yourself to the role. Montes brought himself to the role as a Lithuanian, and everybody that touched this film, Carlos and Monse, Daniel, Norma, everybody brought their own. And I think when you're, you know, as a writer-director, when I'm writing a story, when I'm telling a story, you know, it starts from the personal and it starts from very close to home for me. But I have to listen to, you know, the people that you're casting. You know, Carlos, you know, we used his background being from Nicaragua, and we put that into the character, and we infused that into the character. And, you know, I will say, you know, this story for me actually started in high school. You know, I grew up in a small town, and my wife, I don't know if you know, my wife is here. She's a Lithuanian. She's a Lithuanian immigrant, and we met in high school. And I always wanted to make a film about a Lithuanian character, and I met Montes. And when I was in high school, my best friend in high school, it was undocumented from Mexico. And after we graduated. He couldn't go to college. He couldn't get a job because of his status, and I saw how that took a toll on him, and just how devastating it was for him. And shortly after that, he moved back to Mexico, and his family's still here, and he's been separated from his family ever since. And shortly after that happened, I moved to Los Angeles with my wife, and I met Montes. And Montes was telling me his story about being a Lithuanian here and what he went through in the job that he had to do, working under the table and struggling. And it just hit me that here are two people from completely different backgrounds, speak different languages from different countries, but they had a shared experience, this very human American experience. And that, for me, was solidarity.
So, and I was like, obviously in the beginning, it's like, that was my question, right? Do they understand what they're writing? Yeah, they did. Because, like he says, Jean Tar is a migrant mom, wife, beautiful artist, wife, of Dustin, right? And Montes. And so, we are, I think we're in a country where we are people that migrate, and that's a beautiful thing, and I love this country, and I love the culture, and I love to be able to talk to and have the food and the languages and everything, and the cultural stuff that is like from all over the world, and that's what I love. That's one of the things that I absolutely adore about this country. There is nothing like this in another place, and I love it. I absolutely love
I
it.
have to say before I forget, I have to say Daniel Mora, who played Miguel Olena, and he was also from the short film, and was all the way through, and he carried it with us. So we want to thank you for that, sir.
And Carlos, and Carlos Miranda,
Michael Harn.